Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine. I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with a new episode from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very easy and it has originated from the desert areas of Pakistan. Yes, you've heard it right. It has come from the Cholistan region of Pakistan, where there's a famous city known as Umarkot. Everyone knows that Umarkot has a very integral part in Pakistan's, you could say, history. Why? Because currently the Rajas of the place of that city, of the Umarkot fort, are still ruling over there in terms of, you could say, out of respect. Like the way we say in Pakistan, when you go in the interior parts, we have people who have loads and loads of lands, and when I say loads of lands, this means at least 1,000 acres to 2,000 acres each, and then the people over there, they take care of all the farmers and all the land, and then they distribute all the agricultural product which comes towards the year's end to the people who are working over there also. Similarly, in Umarkot right now, the traditional family, or you could say the royal family from back in the day, is still over there. They have, you could say, a presence over there, but not a political presence, but a presence which could be more, you could say, respectful. So this recipe has come from, you could say, not their kitchens. Why? Because those people are Hindus, and in the Hindu culture you cannot eat meat, but Muslims in those areas still cook this recipe, and usually this recipe was made with lamb, but nowadays after the celebration of Eid, this recipe is cooked. So the recipe is very easy. The ingredients for today's recipe are: you need to use poppy seeds, then you need around 15 to 20 almonds, you need some ginger, garlic, which we shall shred, you need some cream, you need some yogurt, you need some milk, you need some coconut, not powder but desiccated coconut, and then you need around a kilogram of beef. I will be using veal today. If you can find veal, please buy that. That's easier to, you could say, cook, and it cooks quicker. You need 2 onions, few lemons, 3 to 4 green chilies, and mint towards the end. So now how will we do this? The stoves are on over here. Please do not think that I'm wasting any natural gas. It's really windy outside in Islamabad today, and because of that, if I keep the stoves on the pilot, they'll just go off. So I have to keep them at this speed. It's Mother Nature, we can't fight with it. Okay, firstly what I'll do is I shall just pick up the beef. I've wrapped it in a cling wrap, open it up, and we shall hammer it down. Try always wrapping the meat in, you could say, cling. Why? Because if you're cooking outdoors, there are a lot of extraneous things that could come and damage or come and sit on the meat, such as flies, mosquitoes, or any other flying insects. What I'll do first is I shall pick up a hammer and I shall just beat it down so that it gets softer. Turn around and do it again. The board will move a bit. Why? Because there's a lot of pressure coming on. So just hold the board against your body and start beating it. This is done. Now the other piece. Turn around. Now for this recipe, what you need is you need to make small pieces of the meat. When I say small pieces, first for that you have to cut the meat lengthways in equal thickness, remember that. And then keep it on the side. I'll do this step by step in front of you. And if you see this part which is a little tough, just cut it out like this and keep it on the side. Now what do you need? You need to make small pieces. So what I'll do is I'll move this board first and start slicing it in an angle. I'm making small pieces You could say these are bite-sized pieces, and if you cook it like this after hammering it, you can cook this easily in 30 minutes in the pressure cooker. If you cook it without the pressure cooker, it will take around, you could say, an hour and a half or even more, depends on how you cook it. And on the other hand, you will also have to refill the pot in which you're cooking it. Why? Because the pressure cooker holds the steam and it slowly evaporates the water, as compared to a pan or a wok or an open pot that will not control the evaporation. Okay, so now this is done. What we'll do is we'll rinse off our hands, and then I'll let you know what to do next. So as you can see, the beef is done. What I'll do now is I'll take around 1 liter of water. Preferably do not use tap water. Why? Because when you use it in the pressure cooker, you get this salty line on top, which can also affect the flavor of the meat. So I prefer using either mineral water or either filtered water. Okay, now just transfer all the meat, shake it up, and we need to add a few things into this. What I'll do is first I'll take some ginger. I washed the knife. I'm using the other knife today, as you can see. Cut it, keep the remaining on the side. Just cut it into 2 pieces so that we can give some flavor to the meat. You need to flavor the meat, remember that. We'll add a little bit of this. Then we'll add a clove of garlic, and then we should add just a little bit of salt. This is done. Now what do you need? You need to just close the pressure cooker, press it down, and increase the heat to full. Once the whistle starts blowing, count 30 minutes. Okay, so now this is done. The next step of this recipe is to prepare the sauce. Now the sauce of this recipe will be white completely, because we're not using anything that will change the color. So now what I'll do is I shall just pick up a wok. I'll place it over here, and till the time this comes to heat, what we'll do is we shall just get ready with the onions. The onions for this recipe need to be finely chopped. So what I'll do is I shall just keep the root on for today. I'll keep it over here, and we shall just make these cuts, slice it like this, and go as close as we can. The root over here, I'll keep it on the side. We won't be using this, remember that. Make cuts again and just cut it through like this. The root's always in the middle, so remember, just take as much onion as you can out. Why? Because wasting is not a good thing. And as you can see, in this world, there are a lot of countries, a lot of cities that are basically facing starvation. So just out of respect, if you cannot do something for them directly, indirectly what you can do is you can save the resources you have, so that the mother nature is not overburdened. You know that global warming happens due to the excess usage of things. When people were living efficiently in the world without too much of globalization and without too much of artificial growth, what usually used to happen is that people were, you could say, reserving all the natural resources, not overusing them. Now because they're being overused, everything is basically going down the drain. So now add another cup of oil. This recipe does have oil. It's a little oil oriented, you could say, and just let it come to heat. Because the pan is pretty hot, the oil will come to heat very quickly comparatively. So now what I'll do is I shall just pick up the onions and I shall transfer it. As you can see, I'm using a spatula today. Why? Because the blade of the knife is not as thick as the other knives I use. So it's just a small, you could say, lesson that if the blade of the knife is much more thicker, what happens is it is easier to use it as a scraper also. Yes, I've called it a scraper. Why? Because in our language we always call it a scraper, the culinary language. Increase the heat, spread it out, and let it cook till this gets nice and translucent. So as you can see, the onions are in the oil, they have started frying. What I'll do now is I'll just add, you could say, a pinch of salt, which could be around a quarter teaspoon. Mix it up and reduce the heat to low. Why? Because the onions are almost translucent. So once you give it a lid, what will happen is the onions will not give out too much of moisture, and they will be cooked properly. So till the time this is cooking, we'll go for a short break, and once we're back from the break, I'll let you know what to do. Keep watching Indus Cuisine. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine. I'm your chef Basim Akhund. During the break, I just waited for you, and as you can see, it's been around 20 minutes that the pressure cooker has gone off. I had just switched the stove off, and the onions are nice and you could say light brown. So now what do you need? You need some ginger. What I'll do is I shall shred it from the thicker side, and then we shall further chop it. I want the texture to be maintained of the ginger. That's why I am using this side of the shredder. We always change the sides or change the texture of the ginger and garlic depending on the recipe. Now, an interesting part is when these things were not available in Pakistan back in the day, which is quite some time ago, more than 100 years ago, people used to use stones to basically smash the ginger, smash the garlic, and convert it into a paste. That was how it was done back in the day. Now what I'll do is I shall just bring it together, and I shall just pass the knife a few times through it so that the strands get nice and equal. This is done. Bring it together. And transfer all of this into this. Now you might be thinking there's so much of ginger going in. This is a ginger and garlic oriented recipe. Why? Because it does not have any other form of vegetables involved. Mix it up. Increase the heat to medium so that the ginger starts cooking. On the other hand, what I'll do is I shall pick up the garlic and I shall shred it from the thinner side. We'll take around 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pieces. That's about it. Keep it over here, keep the remaining on the side, and just shred it finely, slowly and gradually. And if you're using the thinner side, remember, if you're doing ginger and garlic, the garlic goes first and the ginger goes second. Because I haven't used this side, we shall just go in with the garlic. So we will just shake it up, pick the remaining up, and throw this in the bin. This is done. Now pick this, keep it in the sink, and we're ready to go. Bring it close, chop it like this, and add it to the wok. This goes in, keep this on the side, and mix it up properly. Reduce the heat a little bit, give it a lid, and now I shall rinse my hands once and then let you know what to do next. So during the time I cleaned up the set, what I did was I gave the meat another 10 to 15 minutes. It's been 25 minutes and the meat is cooked. And what I did was the water, which should not be wasted from the pressure cooker, I've always told you, I saved it on the side. This water is basically the broth. Let me tell you once again, I've told you a couple of times, but it's been some time I haven't told you, that if you go to the market, you get some chicken stock or beef stock cubes, or otherwise you get the beef stock in the cans, or also you could say in the Tetra Pak. So what usually happens is it's this water basically which they dry out and make it into the cube, or they save it in like jars and they sell it to you. You can use this, it's freshly made at home, and it basically increases the flavor. On the other hand, I left all of the onion, the ginger, the garlic and some salt to cook on low heat. Now what happened was, when it cooks on very low heat, it just simmers, you could say, and the flavor of all these ingredients have nicely amalgamated in the oil now. So now what do we have to do? I will not add the meat in the oil right now. Why? Because the oil will cook it and it will make it a little tough. So what I'll do now is I shall just add a few spices. I need to add some khashkhash, also known as poppy seeds, not too much. This is more than enough. I'll keep the remaining on the side, which I don't need. Then I'll add some coconut, which is basically desiccated coconut. The dry coconut, when you shave it, it becomes like this. Then you need some red chili powder. All of this shall be cooked you could say, in the oil, and then we need some aniseed, also known as sauf in our language. Sauf is basically used as a mouth freshener in Pakistan. If you try it, it will be delicious, trust me on that. Whatever I've used goes at the back or at the back row. Now what do we need? We need to cook all of this on low heat once I mix it, so that the coconut lets its oil out and its flavor out, and it starts mixing in with all the oil around and all the other ingredients. So slowly and gradually, and it smells amazing. As soon as it got some heat, it just came from inside. And I think once I'm done with this show, I'll be having half of what I've cooked, and I've cooked for at least 3 people today. I'm just joking. We work as a family on our set, and we are around 10 people recording this show, and we all basically enjoy the meal like a family after once we're done with everything. And this is the joy of cooking. This is the joy of teamwork. Remember, every show has a lot of effort you put in, and then only all of these results come out. Now, as you can see, the bubbles have become a little thick. Why? Because that's the coconut that does it, or that basically transforms it. We need you could say, almonds. I'll pick up the hammer. I've washed it properly, and I shall just start beating them 1 almond at a time. Why? So that it doesn't start spreading. I just want it to be broken down, and that's about it. So start pushing it on the side, press it, break it, and pull it. I'm doing it in front of you, slowly and gradually. This saves time also, and you get the best result. As you can see, I've used the side which has these bristles on it. Now keep it at the back. I preferably place it in a basket so that it doesn't slip or go around. Okay, now this is done. What I'll do is I shall just pick up all the almonds, transfer them into this so that I get a chance to fry them. They are dried almonds, so once they are fried, they will start getting rehydrated a little bit. Okay, now mix it up. And as you can see, the flame is high, but even though I've told you to keep it low, why? Because of the wind, half of it is going out, so always keep it on the high side. Now what I'll do is I'll just wash up my hands and the board, and then let you know what to do next. So now we'll go towards the last stages of this recipe. Now you have to add the meat. Increase the heat to full and make sure that it's basically bubbling on high heat. Start mixing it. Add around half a teaspoon of salt, spread it out. This is done. Mix it up. And now what I'll do is I'll add some other things. Now we have to go towards the greens. What I'll do is I shall just pick up the green chilies, slit it from the center, which I'll show you how it's done. But before that, you have to take out the stems. The stems go in the dustbin, and then just cut it through like this. It's done. And now start transferring all of these green chilies into the wok over here. Increase the heat to full and then let it cook. Start mixing all of this so that the green chilies get a nice flavor from all the other ingredients in the pan. Now, if you are lactose intolerant, what you can also do is you can stop the recipe at this end and you can eat it like this. And if you are not lactose intolerant, then you'll do whatever I'm doing next. Now, what I'll do is I shall add the yogurt. I'll add the cream. Then I'll add some milk. All of this goes in it. Pick this up on the side and keep it over here. Now start mixing it properly. Now because we've added some red chili powder, the color has gone towards the orange side. But if you are more likely someone who doesn't like red chili, you can reduce it and you'll see that the color will be on the whiter side even more. Now everything is done. What I'll do next is I shall just let it cook for 5 minutes on high heat. As you can see, I've added all the white ingredients, which means milk, cream and yogurt. Now what I'll do is I'll let it cook for 5 minutes on medium heat, but before that I shall pick up some of the beef broth and transfer it over here. The beef broth will give it a nice flavor and it will let it cook nicely. And if you do not add the beef broth, what will happen is within 5 minutes it will start burning. Why? Because yogurt, milk and cream start evaporating much quicker. Now let this cook for 5 minutes. Until the time this is cooking, what we'll do, we'll clean up and then I'll show you the final look of the recipe. Don't go anywhere, keep watching Indus Cuisine. As you can see, today's recipe is ready. It was quick, it was easy, and if you have a pressure cooker, it will be even quicker. I'll see you in another episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself, lovely people. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.